Car Obsession is proudly supported by Exchange My Car, Carly and Draggy. For a limited time only, use Car Obsession 10 to get money off with Carly, and there's also a discount code for Draggy as well, which again is Car Obsession 10. All of the details are in the video description below. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another point of view review. This time I'm driving, or will be driving, a Mark II Seat Leon Cupra R, but not just any Mark II Seat Leon Cupra R. No, this car itself belongs to Seat UK and is part of their heritage fleet. So I do feel pretty honoured that they have entrusted me with this car for the week. I've driven this car before, all the way back in 2016, but that wasn't filmed. Before I jump into the driver's seat and immerse you in the driving experience, I want to quickly show you around the car. This is finished in speed blue, which was an optional colour at the time, but I think looks fantastic, and is contrasted by glossy black detailing as well as 19-inch alloys. These are the Potenza alloys, and these are finished, again, as an option, in white, which is a bit of a retro throwback, isn't it? But I like it. The only other option on this car is the sunroof, which again, hopefully you can see. Now, before we go for a drive, I do want to briefly show you what is lurking underneath the bonnet. It is the same 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder EA113 petrol engine as used in the standard Cupra, but it has been fettled and it has been tuned. So the ECU has been tweaked. There's a revised high pressure fuel pump. The gear ratios have been changed and the boost pressure has been altered as well. So normally the Cupra would offer 240 horsepower with 300 Newton meters of torque. The R, on the other hand, offers 265 horsepower along with 350 Newton meters of torque. Power is still fed to the front wheels via a 6-speed manual gearbox. There was no DSG option for this car, not at least in the UK. There may have been on the continent, which I think there was, but I could be wrong. This will do 62 miles per hour in 6.2 seconds, and the top speed is 155 miles per hour. There we go. Engine code, if you want to be nerdy, is CDL, Charlie Delta Lima, whereas I own a Mark II Seat Leon Cupra, and that engine code is BWJ. Now, first things first, needless to say, for me at least, this is an event, and this is a very special car. It's done less than 10,000 miles, so it's time for, love 'em or hate 'em, the driving gloves. Oh yes, that's when you know I'm driving a proper car, when the gloves come out. Right, where is the key? It's in my pocket. Won't be much good in there. Now I will need to have the climate control on because it is quite warm in the UK today, to say the least. Seatbelt on, safety first. And away we go. Now you may hear the climate control in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud, but it is required. Now, as you can hopefully see already, the ride is firm. It's stiffer compared to the standard Cupra. Look at that aerial atom. There we go. Yeah, the ride is stiffer compared to the standard Cupra, and that in itself is no Rolls Royce. So yeah, the ride in this is rather firm, to say the least. Right, we're good to go, aren't we? Okay, and give it a bootful. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty fast. As I mentioned, 265 horsepower along with 350 Newton meters of torque. 62 miles per hour, 6.2 seconds, and top speed of 155. Now that's quite a lot of power to put through the front wheel, so you may think, surely Seat fitted a limited slip differential. No, they didn't. What they did instead is to fit the XDS, which is a Volkswagen Automotive Group product, and it stands for electronic differential lock. You may think, what on earth is that in Queen's English? Well, put simply, when you're going through a corner, particularly at speed, the car, the ESP, will brake the inside wheel to give you better traction and to reduce understeer. Now, although it's not a proper substitute for a limited slip differential, I'm happy to report that it does work well in this car. So we will hit a few twisties in a few moments, and hopefully you will see that this car is pretty capable in the corners. As I mentioned, I've got a 6-speed manual gearbox which offers a pleasing slick change. More slick compared to my Cupra when that was standard, because my Cupra is relatively heavily modified now. And there will be a comparison video coming soon, so be sure to look out for that. Yes, although you have a lovely changing 6-speed manual, because the power and torque band on the R is so wide, it's so flexible, you don't really need to use the gearbox as much as you may think or as much as you may want. Even on the motorway at 70 miles per hour in 6th gear, you've still got enough torque to overtake without needing to change down to 5th. Yeah, it's a strong, muscular engine. The EA113 engine is actually a predecessor to the EA888, which is still used nowadays in cars such as the Volkswagen Golf R, the Cupra Formentor, and the Audi S3, to name a few. The engine makes quite a nice, pleasing tone as well, which you may not hear on my clip-on microphone. So I may need to divert to my GoPro microphone to maybe give you a better flavour. But there's nothing behind me, so I can really slow down. Again, nice bit of harsh acceleration. It's quite a snarly tone. I love it. It definitely sounds better compared to my Cupra when that was stock. But I've got a standard Cupra, not a Cupra R, sadly. Now, yes, cornering. Here we go. So around the 19-inch Potenza alloys, I've got Pirelli P0 tyres, which I've experienced a few times. I've never properly rated them, but that's because I find it to be quite a fair weather compound. And I've normally had P0 tyres in colder conditions, but it's 22.5 degrees today in the UK, so it's nice and warm, and that really helps to showcase what these tyres can do. And now I've been able to experience the tyres in better weather, i.e. hot weather. I am impressed by them. The acceleration is actually pretty savage. It's definitely an event. And yes, the Golf GTI is a more rounded car. It's easier to live with, more refined. But this has got so much more character, theatre about it. It's a much more interesting car. The pedals have got a nice weight to them. They're not too heavy, not too firm. The steering, unlike the Mark 1 Cupra R, is electronically assisted, not hydraulically assisted, but it feels alert, sharp, and the car feels quite keen to change direction. There is a smidge of body roll in the corners, but overall the handling capabilities of the R are strong, very strong. I've not mentioned the brakes yet, but the brakes perform well. Again, they are strong, although like my Land Cupra, they do feel a little bit over-assisted, although I would say in this car they do feel a bit more natural in their feedback. So I'm not too sure if that was tweaked for the facelifted version, because my Cupra is a pre-facelift. And that manual gearbox is an absolute joy. It really is. Oh, that F-Pace is going for a big boy overtake. Oh, what? Well, that was very pointless. There wasn't really a massive gap between me and the Land Rover in front, but hey-ho. Very pointless overtake. Now, I think it's clear to see that the interior is not going to win any particular awards for design. I don't think Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen would be giving this any praise anytime soon. But, to be fair, it has pretty much everything you need. I've got cruise control, dual zone climate control, I've got automatic lights, I've got a dimming rear view mirror, a little touchscreen with FM radio, DAB, Bluetooth and navigation, front and rear parking sensors. Yeah, a pretty good specification. Of course, I've got the lovely sunroof, which, okay, is an option, but pretty much everything else I've mentioned, well, yes, everything else I've mentioned comes as standard, as do these wonderful front sport seats, which are trimmed in leather with a nice diamond stitch to them. So as I'm stuck behind a small train of traffic, sorry, it's a Range Rover, I said Land Rover, so it's a Range Rover Evoque, I didn't quite see it properly earlier. Whilst I'm stuck behind a train of traffic, let me speak about the ride comfort. Yes, this is a firm ride, and particularly at town speeds on poor roads, you are definitely going to notice how taut this chassis is. But when you're on faster roads like I am now, which are better, the ride isn't too bad. I would never say it's fully settled. It's as settled as a bored toddler, but I wouldn't go so far to call it uncomfortable. And thankfully, these front sports seats, they are very comfortable, and they hold you in the right places, which I love. And as I've mentioned, they look fab as well. Ooh, nice MGB. Beautiful day for it. In regard to pricing, when this car was brand new, this would have been £25,205, which interestingly was more than the Mk2 Ford Focus RS, which I do find hard to believe. The Focus RS was, if I'm not mistaken, £24,995. So yeah, I do find it interesting that this, at the time, was more money compared to the Focus. The tables have turned though, because if you look at the used car market nowadays, a good Focus RS could easily cost you over £30,000, whereas if you want a good Cupra R, I'd say you're looking £10,000–15,000. You can get them cheaper, but yeah, they will be higher mileage. Right, we are good to go. Okay, let's stamp on the loud pedal again. Actually, wait for the national speed limit. Are we ready? Wait for it, and go! Woohoo! Oh yes, that gearbox is fantastic. Not the best gear change I've ever experienced in a hot hatch, but it's definitely up there. Could you daily this car? Well, to be fair, you could daily any car if you really wanted to. At one point, I was lucky enough to daily a Caterham, which was interesting. But yeah, anyway, could you daily this car? You could, providing that you're happy to put up with the unsettled ride. It's a practical car, with it being on a hot hatch. The boot offers a fair size, not the biggest at the time when it was on sale, but enough for what you need. That it is a bit of a large load lip into the boot, so that's worth bearing in mind. I will need to change down just to get up the steep hill. Oh yes. Such a good bit of kit, and it's mad to think that these are so rare. I've owned my Leon Cupra for a little over 2 years, and in all that time, have a guess at the amount of Cupra Rs I've seen on the road. If you guessed 1, you would be correct. That doesn't include this one, by the way, because this one doesn't really count. Oh, nice McLaren. Yeah, there's some kind of supercar event going on at Goodwood today, so you will see a bit of Exotica on the local roads. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, yeah, over the last 2 years I've seen one Cupra R on the road. 2 if you include this one. So they are rare cars. I just don't understand why. Is it the is it the badge? Was the ride enough to put people off, or was it the fact that when it was brand new you could get a Focus RS for a bit cheaper? I don't know. Oh, yes. Driving this car has made me a very happy Aaron. But this car's got quite a strange nuance to it. Now, as I've mentioned a few times, I own a Mk2 Land Cupra, a pre-facelift, unlike this, which is a facelift, because the R model was only available for the facelift. Now, strangely, the positioning of the clutch pedal is different. You probably can't see it, but on this car, the clutch pedal is more over to the left, closer to the kind of bulkhead and center console. And you may think, okay, well, what's the big deal there? Well, because I've got quite big feet, and maybe not, I was going to say they're relatively wide, but I'd probably say they're about average. I've got less space in which to put my foot on the footrest, and it's kind of squeezed between the gap between the centre console and the clutch pedal. So every time I change gear, I have to move my leg awkwardly to get my foot from underneath the clutch pedal, essentially, because that's where part of it is. Change gear, and then put my foot back down like that, which again may seem like a kind of trivial thing to say, but that motion is quite painful for my left knee. And I'm granted I do have a chronic knee injury from my days of football, but what I'm trying to get at is I'm not as comfortable in this car as I would be in my Leon Cupra, because I've got much more space on the footrest, therefore I can rest my foot properly, and when I do need to move my foot, I don't need to move it as awkwardly. So yeah, if you have bigger or wide feet, or perhaps you like wearing wider footwear like running trainers or platform shoes if you're stuck in the 70s, bear in mind that there's not a lot of room on the footrest, which is disappointing, because really and truly that's one of very, very, very few things I don't like about this car. If it wasn't for the tight footrest, which for me, I know it sounds mad, it is a bit of a deal breaker if I'm going to be honest. If it wasn't for that, then I think I would genuinely be thinking about trading up from my Leon Cupra. Although I do love Leo, which is the car's name. I know I'm sad I name my cars. Yeah, I've made Leo very much my own car. I've put quite a lot of money into him and modifications, and to be honest with you, he is actually more powerful than the car I'm sat in right now. But this car, straight out of the box, is just, it's brilliant. It really, really is. And I imagine that when you tune these, it just makes them absolutely savage, because my Cupra is savage. That has 332 horsepower, and that's got 454 newton meters of torque. So yeah, Leo is a beast. But then the downside with that is yeah, you do struggle to put the power down, because there is a lot of power to put through the front wheels, particularly with no limited slip differential. Oh yes. One more little blast before we finish. I can just see the petrol gauge going. I can see the petrol gauge just dropping and dropping. I will just briefly mention fuel economy. Seems a little bit pointless, but yeah, this will do. Say it claims 34.9 mpg. I'm currently doing 22.9 mpg. As you can tell, I've had fun in this car, and this CO2 emissions are 190 grams per kilometre, which by today's standards is pretty woeful. But of course, this is an older car. I don't really want to be stopped here for too long, so I'm kind of on the lip of a corner. And quite often, as is the way with my point of view videos, we finish with a lovely view of the South Downs. Beautiful, a lovely day. I was hoping for an ice cream, but I think ice cream van, I think he must have gone home. So there we go. A bit of a retro themed point of view, but I like it. I like the car. I hope you do as well, and I hope you like the video. So if you have enjoyed it or found it useful, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.